I went ahead and did every experiment in FNAF abiteatfreddys. Unlike the official FNAF games, I couldn't find any AI equations for animatronics to determine their behaviors. Instead, I tested the game with a custom night and found out, with the data I have, this game can be AI Breakdown as well. So, let's begin. If you don't know anything about this game, it is a fan-made FNAF game released on October 6, 2023, featuring a unique cowboy-like design with 3 courses, a final course, 6 challenges, and a custom night. Let's get into the first part of this video, the utilities. The game doesn't run like usual FNAF. Instead, similar to FNAF 6, the game requires you to finish all your tasks. In abiteatfreddys, you gotta sit in the office trying to survive until you confront all 3 orders sent by the cowboy hat phone guy, who seems to be making pizza in the kitchen but can never get attacked by animatronics, strangely. Order status shows the process and the order of the pizza. A yellow dot icon is shown when order is delivered. First order is delivered to party room A, and second order will be delivered to party room B. There's a sound effect for each process. You really should be paying attention to the animatronics, not the orders, because they take so long and there's nothing you can do to make it faster. The most important tool is the power load. It works completely opposite to FNAF 1, where you're likely to die when power runs out. In this game, when power load reaches 100%, all mechanics are shut down, unable to enable door, fan, and the power button, or stop the conveyor belt, leaving the player extremely vulnerable until power load cools down to 0%. Please hurry up! Animatronics are very likely to jump scare you during the cooldown. The power button turns on and off the lights in the office. It saves you from Bonnie appearing, but shutting down the power also makes you unable to stop the conveyor belt. I'll talk about this later, so it's fine to just understand how it works for now. Speaking of the conveyor belt, the stop handle in the left office, well, obviously stops the conveyor belt from transporting orders. It also stops and prevents the animatronics from jump scaring you when they enter through the vents in camera 5, 6, or 7. When the conveyor belt is jammed, use the stop handle will fix it. In camera 5, 6, and 7, animatronics can get into the vents through the conveyor belt and kill you. You can enable door in these cameras to prevent that. Camera 9 has the refresh camera button when needed, and camera 10 has the enable fan button when needed. I'll expand this along with the animatronics for better elaboration. Lastly, there's a toy pistol on the desk to deal with Chica showing up in the office. Now that all utilities are explained, it's still pretty ambiguous. That's why we're getting to the second and most crucial part of the video, the animatronics. From here, things can get a bit complicated, so feel free to pause and rewind the video. I'll be introducing the behaviors and counter strategies for each animatronics, as well as their moving route and AI breakdown for different states. First, let's get into Talk Show Bonnie. Bonnie will appear in the office at the front windows and right side of the wall. He'll also be entering from the left conveyor belt if he gets into the vent in camera 5, aka the kitchen. The ways to deal with him are that if he appears at camera 5, enable the door and wait until the screen flashes as he disappears. If he manages to enter the vent, just stop the conveyor belt when you hear him crawling from your left. Bonnie will start at camera 1 to 2. Then 4. From here, he has 2 routes. The conveyor route where he goes to camera 5 and tries to get into your left office. Another is the office route where he goes to camera 8 and will show up in the office. Press the power button to prevent him from jump scaring you. Now, before I explain Bonnie's AI breakdown, there's something you need to know first. From my experiment, the AI of each animatronic determines how fast they move and how much time you have to deal with them before they jump scare. However, power load functions quite differently. Anything that increases the power load is not determined by the animatronic AI. You'll see it in a moment. With that all being said, let's get back to Bonnie. The time required for him to jump scare after showing up in the office, the time required for him to enter the conveyor belt when he shows up in camera 5, the time required for him to jump scare after getting in the conveyor belts for 5, 10, and 20 AI is shown in this chart. The time data is not 100% accurate and can vary differently, but I tested several times, there shouldn't be too much measurement error. You can clearly see with higher AI, Bonnie gives you less time to react before he jump scares. However, his jump scare time when he enters the conveyor belt is always 15 seconds. This gives you enough time to deal with other more urgent things. This 15-second conveyor belt time is actually exactly the same for Freddy and Chica as well, regardless of their AI. In addition, the power load required to enable door on Bonnie in camera 5 is 9%, and the power load required to stop the conveyor belt when he gets in is 13%. They are exactly the same for all Bonnie's AI. It is noteworthy that every power load to enable the door is always 9% for every single animatronic, and power load to stop animatronics in the conveyor belt is always 13%. I want to be clear with this, since the programming for later animatronics is partially very similar. Next up, we have Talk Show Chica. Chica will show up in the office under the desk and have a gunshot battle with you. She'll also appear at camera 7 and will try to enter the vent through the conveyor belt to the left office. If she appears at camera 7, enable the door and wait until the screen flashes as she disappears. If she managed to enter the vent, just stop the conveyor belt when you hear her crawling from your left. If she shows up at the desk, pick up the toy pistol and aim between her eyes when she rises. Don't miss. Sometimes it takes a little bit of fun away. I miss again! What? Chica starts from camera 1 to 2, then to cam 4. Like Bonnie, she also has 2 routes. The conveyor route where she gets to the camera 7 and to the conveyor belt. Another is the office route, where she goes to camera 8, then teleports to camera 4, appearing near the exit sign with a sound cue. She'll show up in the office requires you to shoot her with your gun, with your toy gun. Still sounds weird. Again, the time required for her to jump scare after showing up in the office, the time required for her to enter the conveyor belt when she shows up in camera 7, the time required for her to jump scare after getting in the conveyor belt for 5, 10, and 20 AI is shown in this chart. You can see unlike Bonnie, she always gives you about 13 seconds for the pistol, and you have less than 3 seconds to aim and shoot her upon picking up the gun. This really implies that if Bonnie and Chica show up in the office at the same time, it is better to deal with Chica first. This sequence is very important in the max mode. Power load for door and the conveyor belt is the same, 9 and 13%. Talk Show Freddy is next. Freddy will be roaming around each camera and specifically enter the conveyor belt from party room A. His second route is through the vent outlet in camera 10, and he is more likely to choose this path during my experiments. Enable the door in camera 6 or stop the conveyor belt when you hear him crawling. For the vent route, enable the fan in camera 10 and check on him regularly. Freddy starts from camera 1 to cam 2, cam 4, and cam 6. From here, if he wants to enter the conveyor belt, he will get very close to the vent. If he chooses to go to camera 10 instead, he will disappear and eventually shows up in camera 10 with just one vent sound. Freddy's chart is displayed here. Let's talk about the fan first, since other things are similar to Bonnie and Chica. I have this noted down in the description. You can download and read it along with this video. Don't worry, I swear it's free. For 5, 10, and 20 AI Freddy, the time required to get closest to the fan and for him to jump scare you is like this. On 20 AI, you may have 18 seconds before you lose the game, but max mode is rather complicated. So really, just check this camera regularly. It only takes 6% of power load to use the fan to blow on his giant face, so just play it safely. Next up is Talk Show Foxy. Foxy, like most FNAF games, works differently. He starts from camera 3, with a sound cue indicating he's out his lab. He goes to camera 2, then to the backstage in camera 9. He then has 3 stages. At stage 3, he grabs the wire and will chew on it, forcing you to use backup power. Using the camera will then increase the power load as well, which is a huge disadvantage. You need to act fast and refresh the camera. Here, he has 2 routes. 1. He'll go back to his lab and repeat the cycle. 2. His face gets close up to the camera and will start going to camera 4, then camera 5, getting in the same vent as Bonnie does. You can let him get in and stop him from the conveyor belts, but Foxy is the fastest vent animatronic. He'll make a large crawling sound once he gets in, and only gives you less than 3 seconds before he jump scares you. So be careful, or try enabling the door in camera 5 if you can. Here are all Foxy's data. On 20 AI, he frequently chews on the wire. I couldn't get accurate data for his 3 stages until he starts chewing the wire. With several testing, here's what I got. Now, refreshing the camera will leave you unable to enable any doors or fan temporarily. I've had Freddy kill me during this refreshing time, so I recommend you to make sure camera 10 is empty before you refresh the camera. Last, we have a special character, Threadbare. Threadbare is plotted along with the title, Abide at Freddy's. It'll change after.
Was that the bite of 87?
Yeah. He starts from the ball pit in camera 2. Like Foxy will have a sound cue when he comes out. If he then straight teleports to camera 9, you'll need to refresh the camera before he takes over all camera feed, and requires an even longer time to refresh cams. There's a sign at camera 9 when he's there, so pay attention to that. His second route is to go to camera 4. Here, if he stares at the wall, he'll go to the party room A or B and try to jam the conveyor belt by sticking his fat ass in the vent. When the conveyor belt is jammed, or just stop working, but no animatronics can get you from the belt as well. I'll mention this later again, since this is a great chance to cool down the power load. Just remember, Foxy can also chew on the wire. Freddy can also go to camera 10. Bonnie and Chica can show up in the office if they are not in the vent. To get the conveyor belt unjammed, use the stop handle for 30% of power load. This may seem a lot, but since you can cool down the power load during it's jammed, so I don't think it's a problem. Also, any power load does not accumulate, meaning you have to go straight to 30%, not adding it up. Threadbare's third route is, like Freddy, to the vent outlet. If he's staring up at the vent in camera 4, he will then crawl in it and requires you to enable the fan for a total of 9% power load to stop him from jump scaring. Like Freddy, just check on camera 10 regularly. As you can see, he can be fast on 20 AI, so be fast. That's all animatronics done. Drop a like or subscribe if you're enjoying. Since this video takes me quite some time and lots of testing and notes, I'll be very thankful. I'm going to go straight to the max mode of this game. There are 6 design challenges, but I'm not gonna include them in this video. They're pretty easy and you can check out other creators' gameplay or my stream. Now, it's time for the max mode for this game. I'll give you all important strategies so you don't have to struggle like I did. Trust me, you don't want to. First thing, it is very important to understand which animatronic in what situation should be dealt with first. I'll have the information for you, but honestly, you still have to rely on your instinct and pay attention to what's happening now. Here's in general. Foxy in the conveyor belt should be stopped first, since he only needs 3 seconds to have you lose the game. Next up is Foxy chewing the wires. It is very annoying to use backup power. Freddy or Threadbare in the vent outlets is next, but like I mentioned before, sometimes you might have to deal with them first, then Foxy. Next is Freddy, Bonnie, or Chica getting in the conveyor belts. They give you 15 seconds before dying, but stopping the conveyor belts upon hearing the crawling vent sound should be a reflection by now. Next up is Chica's toy pistol, then Bonnie appearing in the office. You can have different thoughts, but getting the conveyor unjammed should always be dealt with last. There is no threat with this and gives you enough time to cool down power load and focus on other situations. In one of my videos, I show the comparison of the 2 max modes in this game. A lot of you might know, yes, there's 2 versions of 520 mode in Abite at Freddy's, and if you don't know, well, now you know. But why? From just experiencing the 520 in Challenge 6 and entering 520 manually in the Custom Night, I can feel Custom Night is harder than Challenge 6, although it took me way more time to beat Challenge 6. After collecting all the data, here is my guess. The 4 course in Challenge 6, like all other challenges, has a certain programming without Animatronics at 20 AI, while 520 in the Custom Night isn't pre-designed. It is entirely all animatronics acting on 20 AI. From the starting of the course, you can see a massive difference. 1, I basically just deal with Bonnie and Chica. It wasn't until Order 1 is sent that other animatronics start becoming a threat. 520 Custom Night, on the other hand, gets straight into the business when the course starts. Take a look at all the data again. It matches how 520 works. Lastly, I give you the ultimate strategy of 520 Max mode. Only 2 cameras are required to be checked. Camera 9 for Foxy and camera 10 for Freddy or Threadbare. Spending time going around camera 5, 6, 7, 9, and 10 can likely miss animatronics sneaking in. Except for the vent outlet, they can be stopped by the conveyor belt. So don't go over each camera trying to enable the doors. Yes, enabling the door takes less power load than stopping the conveyor belts, but honestly, 4% is not much more, and having multiple mechanics enabled at once can greatly increase power load. Say you need to close the door on Bonnie and Chica at the same time, that will increase the power load crazily, but you can wait until you hear them crawling from the left, then stop the conveyor belts, and focus on what's more threatful like Foxy or Freddy. So just pay attention to the crawling sound and check on camera 9 and 10 regularly. With this method and enough practice, I beat the hardest 520 Custom Night on my second try.
That was nice. That was easy. That was easy.
That's everything for this video. This is my first time trying to make a breakdown video. It is very fun, but it was a lot of work. I'm hoping to do more videos like this, but I'm not a big channel. At least not yet. All of the efforts can get little views, so if you're still here who watched the whole video, I just want to tell you, thank you so much. It really means a lot to me. Till then, peace out.